Hey, Wide Awake family. If you're not part of the family yet and love creepy stories, then hit that subscribe button and join us. Tap the bell icon so you'll never miss a story. It really helps out the channel. If you've already done all that, then smash that like button to lock it in, and please tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I would love to interact with you legends. Now to the story.
There's this thing people say about deja vu, like your brain's glitching out or remembering a dream you forgot you've had. But that night, standing in his living room, it wasn't like that. It wasn't vague or fuzzy. It was specific, like dead on, too perfect specific. I knew that room. And it was too late to pretend I didn't. Backing up, though, because this didn't just happen. I've matched with this guy, Sam, like 2 weeks earlier. Average looking dude, not ugly, not model hot either. Just kind of normal in a forgettable way, which felt like a relief after the last few weirdos I'd swiped on. His bio was chill. Something about working freelance like hiking, had a dog, though I never saw a dog again, and he mentioned a local bar I'd been to. Felt familiar. Safe-ish. He messaged me first, quick jokes, kept it short, not clingy, not boring either. Honestly, it was smooth enough to not raise red flags. We talked for a bit, then faded for a few days, then he popped back up like, "Hey, wanna grab a drink?" I said yeah. That was mistake one, I guess. He chose this pub out near the edge of the city. Not sketchy exactly, but not exactly central. Kinda out past the main road, half-empty parking lot, one of those places that plays old indie music and smells like spilt beer and leather. I got there a bit early, sat by the window, scrolling like an idiot pretending not to be awkward. He showed up 5 minutes later, same guy as his pics, just a little taller than I expected. Hoodie, jeans, nothing weird. Normal again. We had 2 drinks, talked about podcasts, music. He said he used to be in film school but dropped out. Said he liked capturing moons, whatever that meant. He kept using this phrase, curated chows, which I honestly just thought was try-hard artsy nonsense, but I let it slide. He was kind of funny, I won't lie. He made a sarcastic comment about one of the pub's paintings, and I laughed harder than I should have. I think I just like being around someone who didn't instantly give me the ick. When he suggested heading back to his to chill and watch something, I didn't hesitate. I felt buzzed, not drunk. I still had my full sense of could I fight this guy if he tried anything alertness. Plus, he lived nearby, apparently walking distance. His place was maybe a 10-minute walk. We passed one shop, 2 parked cars, and some quiet corner houses before he unlocked this small gate and let me through. The house was small, like one of those old single-floor rentals. A porch light flickered. He muttered something about the landlord never fixing it. Inside was where it got weird. As soon as I stepped into the living room, I felt it. Not felt like some energy shift or spooky gut feeling. I recognized it. The layout. The couch with the ugly red and brown blanket. The chipped white bookshelf in the corner with one fake plant. The framed poster above the TV. It was all there, exactly how I remembered it. But not from him. From other guys. It took a second to click, but once it did, it was like my brain pulled out a folder it had been keeping without me knowing. I'd seen this living room in the background of so many Tinder profiles over the past year. Different guys, same couch, same wall. One of them had a cat in the corner. Another was holding a plate of pancakes. One dude even had a photo in the mirror of the hallway. But it was all the same damn house. Same room. Same backdrop. He walked past me like nothing was off and sat down, flicking on the TV. Some random YouTube playlist started playing. I stood there for a bit, pretending I was just looking around, but my stomach started to twist. I pulled out my phone and opened Tinder. Started scrolling like a maniac. I found one of the profiles almost immediately, some guy named Ethan I matched with months ago. He was standing shirtless in front of the exact same poster. I found another one, Luca, sitting cross-legged on the floor, same shelf, same fake plant. None of them were Sam. I didn't know what to do. I stood there frozen, phone in hand, suddenly aware of how quiet the house was. No dog barking. No houseman noises. Just the low hum of the TV and the slight sound of him scrolling with the remote. I mumbled something about needing to use the bathroom. He just pointed down the hall without turning around. I walked slow, but my brain was sprinting. I passed a closed door. Then another. The hallway smelled off like old cologne and damp carpet. I didn't even go into the bathroom. I just stared at my reflection in the hall mirror. My face looked pale. My hands were shaky. I needed to leave. I walked back toward the living room, trying to act chill. He was still on the couch, one leg up, eyes half glazed at whatever was playing. I told him I forgot I had to meet my friend. He didn't even blink, just gave a lazy cool and turned the volume up a bit. I didn't wait for more. I opened the door myself and walked out as fast as I could without full-on running. The gate creaked behind me. I looked back once. He hadn't followed. No silhouette in the window. No dog barking. Just dark windows and a flickering porch light. When I got home, I couldn't sleep. I sat on my floor going through old screenshots, trying to find more guys who'd posted pictures in that house. I found at least 5. All with different names. None looked like Sam. It's not like I could report him. What would I say? Hey, this guy's house is too familiar. I didn't even know if it was his place. Maybe he lived with someone else and used their stuff for photos. Maybe all those other profiles were fake. Maybe they weren't. I unmatched him. Blocked him on everything. But I still think about that living room way too much. I keep swiping, and every time a new guy shows up on my feed, I check the background. My eyes zoom in on every shelf, every couch pattern, every wall decoration. I don't even care what they look like half the time. I'm just trying to make sure I don't end up there again. Wherever there even was. Alright, so I've never been big on dating apps. I'm not one of those dudes with gym mirror selfies or weird group pics from 2017. I keep it simple, one decent photo, a dry joke in the bio, and just swipe when I'm bored, usually when I can't sleep. That's how this started. Late one night, around like 1:30 a.m., just laying in bed half scrolling, half dozing off. Then she popped up. Her name was Isla. Blonde streaks in her hair, black eyeliner, and this faint smirk that looked like she knew something you didn't. Her first pic was her sitting in a laundry room of all places, legs crossed on top of a washer. The second was a blurry one at some arcade, the kind where the neon makes everything look dreamlike. I don't know what it was, but she had that vibe. Like she didn't try too hard, but still made you stop and look twice. I swiped right, not even expecting anything. I barely ever get matches unless it's bots or accounts that vanish 5 minutes later. But boom, we matched instantly. Her first message came through like 2 seconds later. She just said, "You looked bored." That was it. I laughed, replied, and suddenly we were deep into talking about random stuff. Not the usual crap either. Like she wasn't all, "What do you do for work?" or "Where are you from?" She asked weird stuff. Would you rather be forgotten or misremembered? Or what's something you lie about as a kid that still makes you feel weird? It was strange, but I liked it. She replied super fast, but never at normal hours, like between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., never once during the day. And when I'd message her outside of those times, she'd never open it until the next night. No Snap, no Insta, nothing connected, just Tinder. I started looking forward to those messages more than I want to admit. Like even when I was out with mates or playing games, I'd get this dumb little buzz when the app notification popped up. There was something about her that felt different. Not in a soulmate kind of way or anything. Just intense. Like she was paying way more attention than most people do. Her replies were always too specific, too accurate. She'd remember tiny things I'd barely mentioned. Like that I once had a goldfish named Battery. I told her that as a joke, and the next day she said, "I bet Battery would have hated this weather." It freaked me out in a good way. So anyway, maybe 5 days into chatting, I was with my friend Kev at his place. We were watching some trash TV, and I brought up Isla. Told him she was cool, kind of different, and that she had this eerie but attractive vibe. He laughed and was like, "Show me," so I opened Tinder to pull up her profile. Except it was gone. Just blank. Our chat thread was still there, but when I clicked on her name, it showed user not found. Like she deleted or unmatched or got banned or whatever. I was confused. Even told Kev I didn't make her up. Showed in the chat. Her messages were still there. Well, at first. Then the thread just crashed, straight up disappeared mid-scroll. Kev thought it was hilarious. He started calling her my imaginary girlfriend. I laughed along, but deep down I was unsettled. She just messaged me that morning. Something about a song that reminded her of me. Now she was gone. I didn't think much more of it at the time. Just figured maybe she got banned or unmatched me by accident or got sick of me or whatever. I went home later, tired as hell, and passed out without even checking my phone. Then at around 3:42 a.m. I woke up. My phone buzzed once. I would usually wake up from notifications, but this one was loud in the silence. The screen was dim, but it showed one Tinder message, which made no sense because I thought she was gone. It was from Isla. The message just said, "Stop showing me to people." I sat there staring at it, half awake like my brain wasn't ready to process it. I blinked a few times, locked my phone, unlocked it again. The message was still there, but now her name was just, and there was no profile pic, just that weird gray placeholder icon. I replied back with a question mark. Sent it, waited, nothing. I reopened the app. Now even the chat was gone again, like it got pulled away right after I saw it. I checked my emails in case I'd been hacked or something. Nothing. No sign of anything weird. But I couldn't shake how specific that message was. It wasn't just a leave me alone thing. It was direct, like she knew I showed Kev her profile. And the wording of it. Show me to people, not sharing my profile or telling your friends. It sounded old, like something someone might say if they didn't really understand how apps work but somehow still knew they were being seen. I didn't sleep after that. The next morning, I re-downloaded Tinder because, yes, I deleted it for a few hours like a coward. But when I got back on, there was no trace of her. Not in recent matches, not in new swipes. I even tried making a new account just to see if she'd pop up again. She didn't. Over the next few days, I started noticing little things. Like my For You page on TikTok started showing me clips about being watched. Not jokes, actual stories. One of them was a guy saying he matched with someone who only talked late at night and vanished suddenly. Another was about AI bots learning from human emotions and breaking pattern codes. I'm not saying she was some bot, but she wasn't normal. I even went back through my photos to see if maybe I took a screenshot of her, but there's nothing. I swore I did at one point. I swear I saved her profile picture because it looked so sick with the laundry room lighting. But nothing. Not in recently deleted, not in backups, not even in that random Tinder folder I didn't know I had. It's like she never existed. But every once in a while, around 3 a.m., I get a single notification from Tinder. No message, no name, just the app ping, and when I open it, there's nothing there. I don't even have Tinder installed anymore. I matched with him on a Wednesday while I was supposed to be doing coursework. The usual scroll break turned into a swipe spree, and there he was, Miles. Wavy hair, green eyes, soft jawline with that annoying little chin dimple girls either love or hate. His photos were lousy but good. A selfie in the car with natural light, one holding a dog that looked too small to be his, and a third where he was laughing at some outdoor table. I liked that one the most. It wasn't forced. It didn't scream, "Look at me." He looked calm. We started talking straight away. Nothing cringy either. No weird one-liners. He just asked me if I liked cherry Pepsi or regular and went from there. I told him I don't even drink fizzy drinks, and we argued about it in a dumb way that felt fun, not annoying. The chat was natural, and I got that little buzz you get when someone seems like they actually pay attention to what you're saying. We talked for a couple of days, mostly late at night. His responses were always chill but quick. He asked decent questions, remembered stuff I told him, like my uni course and how I hated mornings. He told me he worked in carpentry, helped his uncle do renovations. Said he had a twin brother but didn't talk to him anymore because of some stuff in the past. I didn't dig. Honestly, I just liked that he wasn't oversharing. He made me feel like he actually wanted to me, not just chat forever or get weird. So we did. We met outside of Costa inside one of those retail parks. Not fancy, but it was bright out, open space, and I felt fine about it. I saw him from a distance, sitting on a bench. Same wavy hair, same jaw, same eyes. But when I got closer, something wasn't right. I can't really explain it. He stood up and smiled, but it felt off. Not wrong in a scary way, just not what I pictured. His energy was different, colder, like the messages had warmth and the person in front of me didn't. His laugh wasn't the same either. He made a few jokes but didn't laugh much himself. And the dog, The one from the picture. I asked about it and he said he didn't have a dog. Said it was just a random one he was holding in a barbecue, which, okay, fair enough, but I swear he told me it was his. We got coffee and walked a bit. He didn't ask me a single personal thing. Not one. The guy who'd spent 2 days chatting about my insomnia and my favorite childhood show and now seemed more interested in talking about random stories I didn't care about. He mentioned a holiday to Spain like 3 times. I tried to ask about the carpentry stuff again, and he just said, "Oh, I don't really do that anymore." Then changed the subject. His eyes didn't stay on mine long either. He kept looking around like he was scanning the area or just bored. I brushed it off though. Thought maybe I hyped him up too much in my head. It happens. But then came the weird part. The next day, I messaged him something casual. Just said, "You left your receipt in my bag, lol." And it said message failed. Thought maybe he unmatched, which was whatever. I wasn't even that fussed anymore. But later that night, my best friend Sophie messaged me. She said she saw a guy on Tinder with the same exact photos as the one I met, but with a different name. Her screenshot showed the same pics I'd seen, same smile, same dog, but the name said Mason, not Miles. I stared at it for a while, confused as hell. She matched with him and messaged. He said his name was Mason, worked in carpentry, and didn't have siblings. So now I'm thinking, what? Is this a catfish? But he looked exactly the same. Like, the guy I met and the guy in the pictures were the same person. I didn't sleep properly that night. Something was just gnawing at me. So I did what any unhinged girl would do. I reverse searched one of his pictures, just out of curiosity. I didn't expect anything, but surprisingly something came up. It was an old article, blurry scan of a newspaper clipping uploaded to some Facebook post from a community watch group. The headline was about a local guy being released from prison after serving 5 years for assault. The name under the photo said Mason Carter. I froze. The picture wasn't the exact same one from Tinder, but it was definitely him. Same face, older haircut, less polished, but him. And under the comments, someone mentioned that Mason had a twin brother named Miles, who used to live nearby but moved away years ago. Apparently, Mason took the fall for something and his brother cut ties. Everything started clicking. The guy I matched with wasn't Miles. He was Mason. He'd been using his twin's profile, his name, his stories, his life, to get matches. I don't know if Miles even knew his photos were being used. I definitely don't know what Mason's goal was. Was he just pretending to be someone else for fun? To feel normal again after being locked up? Or was it worse than that? The part that still freaks me out is how calm he was. How easy it was for him to pretend. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't fumbling to remember what we talked about. He was just playing the part. The whole time. I'd never matched with the profile again. Both Miles and Mason disappeared from Tinder within a day. No trace. The screenshots Sophie took were the only proof I had. I kept them for a while, then deleted them because every time I saw his face it made me feel like I'd let something slip past me. Like I'd stared at a stranger for an hour and didn't see the lie. To this day, I don't know if Miles even knows what happened. I don't know if the real Miles even exists the way Mason described him. I tried searching online again months later. Nothing. All I know is that I went on a date with someone who was lying about who he was down to the bones. If I hadn't caught the small weird things, the energy, the fake stories, the dog lie, I probably wouldn't have thought twice. I would have kept texting him, maybe even met up again. But I didn't. And I'm glad. I wasn't even planning on going back on Tinder. My mates kept pushing me, saying I needed to get out there or whatever, like swiping on strangers somehow fixed the weird spiral your brain goes into after a breakup. I resisted for a while, then caved during one of those dumb 1 a.m. scroll sessions where everything feels less serious. It'd been 5 months since Layla and I ended things. 4 years together, just gone. We weren't dramatic or toxic or anything, we just hit a wall. Her choice, not mine. But I respected it. I didn't stalk her socials or send paragraphs. I just tried to move on, quietly. So when I saw her on Tinder, I genuinely thought I was losing it. Name said Chloe, but it might as well have said Layla because it was her face, not kind of like her. Not, oh, she has the same eyes. I mean exactly like her. Same birthmark on the neck, same thick eyebrows she used to fill in way too dark, same short brown curls that always frizzed up when it rained. Even the tiny scar on her lip from when we went indoor climbing, and she banged her face on the wall. Same damn scar. I stared at the profile for ages. My heart was literally pounding, but the photos were old ones. Different outfits, new hair parting, different places. There was one of her on a rooftop, one in a bookstore, one with a coffee next to a MacBook. All new. All real. I swiped right without thinking, convinced it was her messing with me. But then we matched instantly. The chat started like normal. She didn't act like she knew me. Said she was from the next town over, worked in admin, liked reading weird mystery books. She said she got the scar from falling off her bike when she was 12. I just sat there staring at the screen like, what the hell is happening? I asked if anyone had ever told her she looked like someone else. She said people sometimes told her she looked familiar, but she thought it was just a face thing. I dropped it, but it didn't sit right with me. The way she typed reminded me of Layla too. Those long dashes she used when texting instead of commas. Random capitalization. Always overusing the word weird. We set up a date anyway. I needed to see her in person just to make sure I wasn't going completely mental. We met at this tiny retro diner on the edge of town, the kind with red booths and framed photos of celebrities no one under 40 recognizes. I got there first and waited with a coffee that tasted like burnt cardboard. Then she walked in. It was like getting punched in the chest. Same walk, same half smile. Even the way she pushed her sleeve up before picking up the menu, it was Layla. But at the same time not. Something was, I don't know, delayed. Like she was trying to move like her but kept forgetting how and had to reset halfway through. We made small talk. She laughed in the same rhythm. Ordered the same drink Layla used to get, iced tea with lemon, even though it's gross. I asked her what she liked to do on weekends, and she said she was trying to get into bouldering. Layla's thing. Our thing. I played it cool, asked her normal questions, but then she started flipping it around, asking me stuff. Stuff a regular person would ask on a first date. How did your last relationship end? Was it hard losing her? Do you still think about her sometimes? Each one landed a little harder. She kept picking at it like it was some casual conversation, but she didn't even bother pretending it was for fun. Her face stayed stilled, serious, eyes locked on me every time I answered. At one point, I asked why she was so curious about my ex. She tilted her head and just said, "You seem like the type who leaves things unresolved." That freaked me out more than I want to admit. I stared at her for what felt like ages, trying to catch her breaking character. Like if I blinked enough times, she'd admit it was a prank or she was Layla or something. But she didn't flinch. She just kept sipping her tea like this was a totally normal conversation to have with a guy you barely know. I barely touched my food. The more we talked, the more I noticed little stuff. Like how she kept leaning in, not flirtatiously, but like she was studying me. Her hands were clasped together most of the time, thumbs rubbing like she was nervous. But her face didn't look nervous. It looked focused. Way too focused. She asked me what my ex looked like. I hesitated, then said, "Actually, you look a lot like her." She smiled and said, "That's weird." But she didn't sound surprised, not even a little bit. After dinner, I made an excuse about having to get home early. She offered to walk with me to my car, but I said no. She didn't push, just nodded and said she had a good time. I watched her walk away. It wasn't until she rounded the corner that I let out this breath I didn't know I was holding. I drove home in silence. No music, just static thoughts. That night, I dug through my old photos. Found the ones of Layla and compared them side by side with the profile pics of Chloe. The scar placement was exact. The eyebrow angle the same. Even the tiny freckle below the right earlobe, they both had it. I checked the metadata on Layla's old photos, then checked Chloe's. Her photos were newer, new clothes, new locations, but the same face. I went to sleep with the lights on. When I woke up, Chloe's Tinder profile was gone. Not unmatched, gone. No trace, no screenshots, no conversation history, just nothing. I checked her name in my phone, nothing saved. Not even our messages. I never saw her again. But once a week, at exactly 3:14 a.m., my phone buzzes with a notification that disappears before I can open it. No sender, no preview. Just a vibration and a blank lock screen. Last week, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. No subject, no message body, just a photo attached. It was me and Layla, sitting on that exact same diner booth, from 2 years ago. Only, I don't remember anyone taking that picture. It was one of those Sundays where your brain's half melted from scrolling and snacks, and the last thing you want to do is put makeup on or make small talk. But he kept messaging me all morning, saying he really wanted to meet. His name was Dean. Clean-cut looking guy, dark-haired, tallish, basic clothes in all his photos. Seemed normal, quiet maybe. He didn't say a whole lot in our chats, but when he did, it was polite, straight to the point. I wasn't completely sold, but I agreed. I figured a quick meet wouldn't hurt, just coffee or whatever, something casual. Then he said he'd come pick me up. At first I said no. I never let Tinder guys pick me up. Everyone knows that rule. But he kept going on about how it'd be easier, how he was already out driving, how he didn't mind swinging by. He wasn't pushy exactly, just persistent. I gave in eventually. He seemed harmless. I had already sent his name and number to my friend with a call me in 30 if I say SOS text, just in case. He pulled up 5 minutes early. Black car. Clean. Tinted windows, but not like blackout tinted. Just dark enough that you couldn't see much from outside. I stood by the door for a second longer than normal before opening it. I don't know why I hesitated, but I did. I got in, said hi. He didn't say anything back. Just nodded once and started driving. I thought maybe he didn't hear me, so I said it again. Still nothing. His eyes were on the road. Hands on the wheel at 10 and 2. No music, no radio. Just the soft hum of the car and the tires against the road. At first I figured he might be shy. Socially awkward maybe. One of those guys who's better through text than face-to-face. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. But the silence kept stretching. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. 15. We passed the high street, then turned off toward the edge of town. He didn't say where we were going. I tried to ask. No response. Not even a glance. He just drove. Calm. Like he'd done this exact route 100 times before. I started to feel it then. Not panic. Not fear. Just this slow drip of unease pooling in my chest. My hand was resting on my leg, but my fingers were twitching without me realizing. I glanced at my phone, but I didn't want to unlock it. I didn't want to look like I was scared. We kept driving. Soon we were out past the houses. No more shops. No more pavements. Just narrow roads and overgrown grass on both sides. I recognized none of it. Just flat, empty stretches of land and occasional trees that looked way too still for how fast we were moving. He didn't speak once. Not even when I fake laughed and made a dumb comment about how quiet the area was. Not when I asked where we were going. Not when I said I thought we were just getting coffee. Nothing. I looked over at him. He didn't look angry. He didn't look blank either. He looked calm. But in this weird, frozen kind of way. Like all of his energy was going into keeping his face still. The worst part was he didn't seem like he was waiting for me to panic. He wasn't playing a power trip or acting intimidating. He was just being there. Unmoving. Silent. And that somehow made it worse. Eventually he slowed down. Turned into this long dirt path that dipped down behind a row of trees. It opened into a clearing surrounded by tall grass and scattered rocks. One of those places people maybe used to hang out at years ago, back when there was something here. He parked. Kept the engine running for a second. Then turned it off. And sat. He didn't turn to look at me. He just stared ahead like he was watching something in the distance. Like something was about to happen and he was just waiting for the signal. My hands were cold. My phone was still in my pocket, but I didn't want to pull it out yet. Every move I made felt too loud in that tiny space. The air inside the car was heavy. Not hot, but thick. I could hear every breath I took, every shift in my seat. He didn't even blink much. Just stared forward, calm as anything. After about 3 minutes, I know it was 3 because I watched the car clock. I quietly undid my seatbelt. My fingers were slippery. I was trying not to let the click sound too loud. I looked at the handle. My plan was to open the door, step out slowly, and just walk away like I'd gotten a call or something. No sudden moves, no running. I opened the door. He didn't move. Didn't speak. Didn't even flinch. I stepped out, closed the door behind me softly. My legs felt wobbly like I'd just been sitting through a storm. I started walking away from the car, slow at first, then faster once I got closer to the road. I didn't look back until I was nearly at the end of the path. He was still sitting there, still staring, still waiting. I walked along the edge of the road until I got to a random house and stood at their driveway like I lived there. Called a friend. Didn't tell her everything, just enough to get her to pick me up. She didn't ask questions. She knew from my voice. The next day, I went to report the profile. But it was gone. Not unmatched, just straight up vanished. No trace. No name in my messages. Nothing. Just a weird blank where the chat used to be. I never saw him again. But sometimes when I walk alone in quiet areas, I get this sudden feeling like someone's sitting in a parked car nearby. Not watching, not chasing, just waiting. And I never know if it's actually him. I know ghosting's kind of a jerk move, all right. I'm not proud of it. But sometimes you get that feeling. You're texting someone and it's cool for a bit, and then it just dries up. No spark, no interest. You tell yourself you'll let them down easy later, and then life happens. You forget. Then it feels too awkward to say anything, so you just don't. That's what happened with this girl, Maya. We matched on Tinder during one of those late Thursday nights where you're half watching TV and swiping just to kill time. Her profile wasn't anything wild. One mirror selfie, a beach pic, and a cat. Her bio said she liked iced coffee, true crime, and astrology. We chatted for like 2 days. She seemed nice. A bit intense, but whatever. She messaged me first, said something about liking my jumper in my second pic. I replied we bantered, but after a while I just lost interest. Nothing bad happened. I just didn't feel it. So I stopped replying. I didn't think anything of it after that. Until a week later. It started with an Instagram DM request. The name wasn't familiar, but the profile pic looked vaguely like one of Maya's friends from her Tinder photos. I tapped out of curiosity. The message was short. Just a screenshot of our Tinder convo. My texts, my name. The whole thing just pasted there. It wasn't just a convo. It was surrounded by messages from other girls. At the top it said, "Local Tinder Clown of the Week." Underneath, girls were replying with laughing emojis, comments like classic, "This guy's getting beige energy, and he's in his soft boy era." I scrolled down and saw even more screenshots. None of them were super offensive or anything. Just normal Tinder chats I'd had with different girls. Ones I didn't even remember. They were all there. My words, my photos, my emojis, everything. This group chat wasn't just about Maya. It was dozens of girls. All local. Some names I recognized, some I didn't. And they were dissecting everything I'd ever said like it was some kind of weird gossip show. At first, I felt embarrassed. Like proper stomach drop type embarrassed. I almost laughed even. I deserved a bit of roasting, I won't lie. But then the tone changed. Someone said, "We should actually do something." Another replied, "He's always ghosting. Let's see how he likes being ignored." Then, or followed. It was a joke, right? That's what I told myself. Just girls blowing off steam, making memes out of bad dates. I tried to ignore it. Deleted the message. Locked my Instagram down. Didn't respond. But the next day, I got another DM. Same format. Another screenshot. Another chat I'd forgotten about. This time, it was from someone named Serena, I think. The message was captioned. He told me the exact same thing. Underneath was the same group chat. Same usernames, but now they were posting maps. Google Maps screenshots with pins dropped. One looked like the park near my uni. Another was the corner shop I go to nearly every night. I didn't know how they had those locations. I will share my Snap map. I've never posted my local haunts. But they had them. One girl posted a blurry pic of someone walking through the train station. It wasn't clear, but the jacket looked like mine. Comment said, "Is this him or just another clone?" I didn't reply to anything. I didn't even want to open the app anymore. The next day, someone slid a note under my door. Handwritten. Just said, "Meetings tonight. You'll want to be there." No name. No number, no address, but I knew what it was about. I didn't go out that day. I stayed inside, pulled the curtains shut, turned my location off, kept my phone in a drawer. I felt insane, like I was being punished for something I didn't even do maliciously. Just regular ghosting, not some horror film crime. That night, I peeked out the window around 10 p.m. There were 3 girls across the street, just standing, not talking, not looking at their phones, just waiting. One of them was holding a takeaway coffee. Another had a tote bag with pins on it. I recognized her from one of the profiles I'd seen in the group chat. I ducked back. Didn't sleep much. A week passed. I started going out during weird hours. Early morning runs, late night shopping, avoiding any places I might see them. I installed Tinder, wiped my socials, deleted everything. It was like being haunted by people who were still alive. Then one night, I got one last message. It came through a new account. No profile pic, just a blank name. The message was short. We're done now. Hope you learned something. That was it. I haven't heard from them since. No more screenshots. No more notes. No more waiting outside. But sometimes when I walk down the high street or grab a meal alone, I'll feel someone staring. I'll turn, and it's always a girl. Always different. Never speaks. Never smiles. Just watches for a second too long. And I never know if she's in that group chat, or if I'm just the next story they're planning to post. It was meant to be a quick coffee date. That's it. Just something light before lectures started again and life got stupid busy. I wasn't even really looking to meet anyone. Just bored, scrolling, matching with guys for the dopamine. You know how it goes. His name was Tyler. Pretty average profile, one mirror selfie, a group shot where I couldn't even tell which one he was, and a picture of his dog. Nothing flashy. His bio said he liked swimming, coffee, and horror movies. Not too try hard, not cringe either. He messaged me first, just a casual opener about the book I was holding in one of my photos. We talked a bit. Nothing deep. No love bombing. Just quick back and forths about films, how he hated people who wore socks to bed, and how oat milk was ruining coffee. He suggested we grab a drink sometime. I said sure. We met on a Saturday around 4 p.m., that in between time where it's still light out but starting to cool off. We picked a cafe near the edge of town. Not too busy, which I liked. He was already there when I arrived. Hoodie, jeans, beat-up Vans. He looked exactly like his pictures. Shorter than I thought, but still decent looking. He smiled when he saw me. Kind of crooked smile, but I remember thinking it looked real. The first 30 minutes were fine. Conversation flowed. He talked a lot about movies, like a lot, specifically horror. Not just the usual popular ones either. He mentioned stuff I'd never even heard of. Old, grainy ones from the 70s. Said he liked the rawness. I told him I didn't really watch horror unless it had a good plot. He smiled and said I'd get into it eventually. That stuck with me for some reason. After the second coffee, he offered to drive me home. I said no at first, but it was getting windy, and my place wasn't that far. I figured if I felt weird at any point, I'd just pretend I got a text and ask him to pull over. So I said yes. Its car was old. Like old enough that the door made that creaking noise when I opened it. Inside, it smelled like air freshener and old takeout. Not bad, just very lived in. There was a half-drunk bottle of iced tea in the cup holder, a receipt from some petrol station crumpled in the console, and a hoodie shoved under the passenger seat. I didn't think anything of it at first, but when I moved my feet, I kicked it by accident. It slid out a bit. That's when I saw the stain. Dark, brown-red. Spotted across the front pocket and sleeve like someone had wiped something off their hands. It wasn't fresh, but it definitely wasn't just dirt or coffee. It looked crusted, dried, old. I laughed awkwardly and nudged it back with my foot. Then I asked what it was. He glanced at me, grinned, and said, "Don't worry, it's not mine." Then he looked back at the road like that was the end of it. I stared at him for a few seconds, trying to figure out if he was joking. His face didn't change. No smirk. No chuckle. Just that same crooked smile from before, except now it felt completely wrong. I didn't say anything back. I wanted to. I wanted to ask what he meant or why he even had it in his car. But my throat felt dry. My body was tensing up without me even realizing. I shifted in my seat and quietly pulled my phone out. Opened up the screen like I was checking something, but really I was staring at the signal bar. One bar. The car kept moving. We passed my street. I told him it was back the other way. He didn't turn. He just mumbled something about taking the longer way and kept driving. His tone was calm, still smiling slightly, still completely silent after that. I didn't panic, not yet. I told myself maybe he misunderstood where I lived. Maybe he really was just taking a different route. I kept my voice light and said I needed to be home soon. Still nothing. He just nodded like he was listening but didn't reply. I locked my phone and set my location to my friend. Then I opened my front camera just to look busy. That's when I noticed something else. On the hoodie, now partly bunched against my shoe, I saw white stitching on the cuff. It wasn't part of the design. It looked like a name. A short one, not Tyler. It said Sam. My stomach dropped. I didn't know who Sam was, but I knew it wasn't the guy driving me. And the hoodie wasn't folded or tucked like someone had forgotten it. It looked stuffed, like it had been shoved under there in a rush. We passed another street. I didn't recognize the area. Trees on both sides, streetlights barely starting to flicker on. I asked him to stop. Said I wasn't feeling well. He didn't respond. Just kept driving slower now. His hands were loose on the wheel, like he was waiting for something. I don't know what came over me, but I just reached for the door handle and popped it open while the car was still moving. Not fast, but fast enough that the wind slapped me in the face. I stepped out, stumbled, and ran onto the grass. I turned around expecting him to yell or stop or follow. But he didn't. He just sat there, car idling, head slightly turned toward me, watching. I ran. I didn't look back again. I don't remember how long I ran or what street I ended up on. I called my friend, gave her a street name off a sign, and she picked me up 10 minutes later. I couldn't explain properly. I just said I felt weird and needed to leave. The next day, I tried to report the profile. Gone. Not unmatched. Deleted. Vanished. Just like that. I even checked my messages to see what I said about the date. I'd only texted one friend that I was grabbing coffee with a horror guy named Tyler. That's it. No other info. No plate number. No last name. Just a stain on a hoodie and a line I can't forget. Don't worry, it's not mine. You ever step into a room and instantly feel like something's too clean? Not in a wow she keeps her place tidy kind of way, but like nobody actually lives there. That's what hit me the second I stepped inside her apartment. The air smelled like artificial vanilla, like the kind from plugins they use in hotel lobbies. And everything was beige. Beige sofa, beige rug, beige kitchen towels. Even the mugs were beige. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Her name was Ellie. Blonde hair, sharp eyeliner, loads of sarcastic replies in her Tinder messages. She had that kind of dry humor that made me laugh way too loud at 1 a.m. We only chatted for 2 days, but it felt solid. She was confident without being weird. Said she worked from home doing something in digital marketing and had just moved into a new flat on the edge of town. Invited me over after I mentioned liking pasta. Literally just said, "Cool, I make a mean one. Come try it." Normally, I'd say no. First date at someone's place. Bit much. But I don't know. She seemed cool. And I'd had a long week. It was a Friday night, and the idea of skipping the pub crowd for a quiet dinner with someone fit my mood. I showed up around 7:45. She texted me her flat number and said the buzzer was broken, so just knock. The building looked all right. Newish, lots of windows, one of those places where all the doors looked the same. Hers was on the second floor. She opened it quick, smiling, and stepped aside to let me in. That's when the weird feeling started. The flat looked like a showroom. Not a mess in sight. No keys near the door, no jackets on the back of chairs, no oven post on the counter. The cushions were perfectly placed. There were no photos. None. Not of her, not of friends, not even some random Pinterest quote on the wall. I didn't say anything at first, just made some dumb comment about how nice the place was. She nodded, said she hadn't had time to make it personal yet. Fair enough. Maybe she really had just moved in. She had music playing quietly, some slow indie stuff. Candle on the table already lit. Wine out. Pasta already boiling. It was all so ready, too ready. I felt like I was walking onto a movie set where I didn't know my lines yet. We sat at the table. She poured me a glass, asked if I liked mushrooms. I said yeah, and she smiled. The conversation was easy enough, but I couldn't stop scanning the place. My eyes kept catching on small things. Like how all the spice jars were full. Like full. No fingerprints in the fridge. No half-used shampoo visible in the bathroom when I asked where it was. No Wi-Fi name sticker on the router. Just a generic TP-Link _2931. I went back to the table and told myself to chill. Some people just like things neat. And maybe she hadn't lived here long enough to settle in. Then I noticed the envelope. It was half tucked under a placemat near the edge of the counter. Not hidden, just placed weirdly like she'd meant to move it and forgot. I wasn't trying to snoop, but my eyes caught the writing. It said, to Laura Briggs. That wasn't her name. I froze for a second, played it off, took a sip, then casually asked if Ellie was short for anything. She said no, didn't blink. That was the moment something in my stomach flipped. Not in a panicked way, just wrong. Like a background noise suddenly cutting off. After dinner, she suggested watching something. I said sure, thinking we'd go to the couch, but she walked straight to the bedroom and grabbed her laptop. Told me her smart TV wasn't set up yet. The bed was perfectly made. Pillows fluffed, no crease on the duvet. Laptop charger still coiled. Not a single personal item in sight. Not a book. Not a sock. Not even a water bottle. I was trying not to overthink, but it was getting harder to pretend this was normal. I excused myself again, went to the bathroom, and locked the door. That's when I looked behind the door and found the Airbnb sign. Laminated. Taped to the back. Wi-Fi instructions, checkout rules, emergency contacts. It was an Airbnb. The whole place was staged. And her name wasn't Ellie. I stood there for a solid minute, just staring at the sign. My heart wasn't racing yet. I just felt cornered, like the logic side of my brain was scrambling to catch up. She'd invited me here, cooked me dinner, acted like it was hers, but it wasn't. She was pretending. I walked out slowly. She was sitting cross-legged on the bed, scrolling through Netflix like nothing was off. I didn't say anything. Just mumbled that I forgot I had something early in the morning and needed to bounce. She looked up, tilted her head slightly, and asked if everything was okay. I said yeah, lied about a group project, and thanked her for dinner. She didn't argue. Just nodded and walked me to the door. The second I got outside, I texted a friend the address. Later that night, I went back on Tinder to look at her profile again. Gone. Not unmatched. Deleted. I searched her number in WhatsApp. No profile pic, just a number. I tried reverse searching it. Nothing came up. And the email confirmation from Tinder. No longer clickable, just an error page. I reported what I could, but nothing ever came from it. A week later, I checked Airbnb for that area. Found the listing. Different host, different profile, different name. But the same photos, same beige sofa, same fake plant in the corner. I booked it under a fake account just to see if the host name matched the envelope I saw. It didn't. Still no sign of Ellie. Still no clue who she really was. But someone went through a lot of effort to invite strangers into a space they didn't own, and never told them why. There was nothing special about the date. I think that's what makes it worse. If it had been awkward or uncomfortable, maybe I'd have picked up on something. But it wasn't. It was just regular. His name was Dylan. One of those guys who doesn't post much on his Tinder profile. 2 pics, both kind of blurry, and a short bio that just said, "Let's keep it real." Normally I'd swipe left on that kind of thing, but I don't know. It was one of those days where my standards dipped a bit, and he didn't seem weird, so I matched him. He messaged first. Just a chill hey, nothing creepy. Our combo stayed basic. Music tastes, bad movies, how cold it had gotten lately. I remember thinking he was kind of dry, but polite. He asked if I wanted to grab a hot chocolate one evening. Not dinner, not drinks, just a hot chocolate. It sounded so specific and safe, I said yeah. We met at a cafe I knew well. Bright, quiet, always full of students and freelancers. I got there early and texted my friend his name and a screenshot of his profile, just in case. He walked in 5 minutes later. Tallish, hoodie and coat. Looked cleaner than his photos, actually. No weird vibes, no bad smell, no wandering eyes. He smiled when he saw me, bought us both drinks without asking what I wanted, which normally would be annoying, but he actually picked the one I always get. We talked for about an hour. Nothing deep. He said he worked in it. Said he didn't use socials much. Asked a few questions, but never pried. I told him I worked part-time in admin, didn't say where. He nodded and moved on. We didn't click majorly, but it was fine. Harmless. When I got home, I messaged him a quick thanks again, and he replied with a smiley face and we should do it again. I said maybe. And then I kind of left it there. He didn't double text, didn't beg. He just disappeared. For 2 days. Then I got a message on WhatsApp from an unknown number. No name, just a photo. It was me, a picture I hadn't seen in years. Me, aged like 6 or 7, missing one front tooth, standing in my grandma's living room holding a snow globe. It wasn't on Facebook. I don't think it was ever posted online. My parents didn't really do the whole public family photo thing. Below it was a message. You were adorable. Still are. I sat there staring at my screen. I felt a drop in my chest, not fear at first, but confusion. How did someone get that photo? I thought maybe it was one of my cousins messing with me, but the number wasn't saved. I messaged back, who is this? The message was read, but no reply. 10 minutes later, another picture came in. Me again, this time around 9, sitting cross-legged on the floor of my old bedroom, holding a Harry Potter book. I didn't even remember that photo until I saw it. The walls behind me still had the star stickers I used to collect. I messaged again. Where did you get these? Still no reply. That night, I barely slept. I started digging through drawers for old photo albums. Found the same 2 photos in one of them, printed versions, which means whoever had them either scanned them from somewhere in my house or had access to them before that, and that didn't make any sense. The next morning, I got to work and found a letter in my pigeonhole. I work reception at a local law firm. Nothing big, just paperwork and booking clients. The letter was handwritten, folded neatly, no envelope, just a note. It said, the little scar under your chin. Still there? I have a scar under my chin. Tiny. You'd never notice it unless I pointed it out. I got it when I was 5, tripping over a skipping rope. I don't talk about it. I've never mentioned it online. It's not in any bios, not in any combos. That's why I knew it was him. I hadn't given Dylan my surname. I hadn't told him where I worked. He never asked. I'd been careful more than usual. And yet here he was, somehow knowing not only where I worked, but the kind of things only close family would know. I went back on Tinder to look at our messages. Gone. His profile was deleted. Conversation thread wiped clean, like he never existed. I blocked the number. Told my manager someone was harassing me and asked how our front desk mailbox moved behind the locked glass wall. She agreed. I told my mom. She panicked and asked if she should go through our old house to check if anything was stolen. I said no, but deep down I was thinking the same thing. Then came the worst part. The final message I got. It was a photo of my mom. Not recent. From at least 10 years ago. She was sitting on our old porch, laughing at something off camera. The caption underneath just said, she always looked happiest in this house. That house doesn't exist anymore. It was sold and torn down. That photo was in a box in the attic before we moved. It never got scanned. It never got uploaded. I moved out of my flat a week later, changed my number, deleted everything. Tinder, Insta, even LinkedIn. Started using a dumb phone. Told work I needed to go remote. I still don't know how he got that stuff. I don't know who he really was or how long he'd been watching me. But someone out there has my past in his hands, and he's not guessing. He's remembering. I was kind of out of it when I matched with her. Not in a sad way, just tired. Long day, couldn't sleep. Figured I'd scroll Tinder for a bit to pass time. I'd been on the app for months with nothing solid coming from it, just a few dead chats and one girl who stood me up for bubble tea. So I wasn't expecting anything. Then she popped up. Name was Alia, no bio, 3 photos. First one was a close-up, green eyes, pale skin, long black hair. Second one was her sitting on a windowsill in a black dress, looking off to the side like she didn't know the camera was there. Third was her in some kind of forest or park, leaves in her hair, kind of blurry. Not fake blurry, just like someone took it while she was moving. She looked like she didn't belong on Tinder. I swiped right, mostly out of curiosity. We matched instantly. She didn't message me. I messaged her. Just a simple, "Hey, what's up?" Didn't expect much. But 2 minutes later, she replied with dinner. That's all it said. I stared at it for a second, kind of thrown. No small talk, no where are you from, nothing. Just straight to it. I replied sure and asked when. She sent me a location. A small Italian restaurant downtown. Nothing fancy, but not a dive either, and said 7 p.m. tomorrow. I asked for her number. She didn't give it. The next day, I got ready like it was a job interview. Showered, ironed my shirt, even polished my shoes. Not because I thought it was going to be that serious, but because something about her made me feel like I had to show up properly. When I got to the restaurant, she was already there. She was sitting alone at a table in the back corner, facing the entrance. Same black dress from her photo. Same hair, same pale skin. She didn't wave, just looked at me like she was waiting for me to catch up. I sat down, said hi. She smiled, tilted her head slightly. Didn't say a word. I thought maybe she was shy, so I tried making small talk. Said the place smelled great. Asked if she'd been here before. Told her I liked her dress. Nothing weird, just regular stuff. She kept smiling. Sometimes nodded. Never once opened her mouth. The waiter came. She pointed to something on the menu. I ordered carbonara. She didn't speak to the waiter either. Just gestures. Eye contact. The guy gave me a strange look like he wasn't sure what was going on. I smiled awkwardly and said we just met. Dinner came. I tried again. I asked what she did for work, if she had any pets, if she liked movies. No answer. Just more smiles. Sometimes she'd stare at me for too long without blinking. Not in a creepy way, but like she was watching something unfold. I was trying not to be rude. Maybe she had some speech condition. Maybe English wasn't her first language. I didn't want to assume anything. But then she started mouthing something. I'd noticed it halfway through the meal. Her lips were moving slightly. No sound. No chewing. Just slow, deliberate movements. At first, I thought she was talking to herself. Maybe repeating thoughts or running lines in her head. But then I saw it clearly. She was mouthing my name. Not just Matt. My full name. Matthew Cole Renner. Over and over again. Mouth barely open, lips shaping each word with eerie focus. I froze mid-bite. Tried to act normal. Maybe she saw it on my social media right. Maybe I told her during messages. I scrolled back later. Nope. Just my first name. I don't even use my full name online. It's not in my email, not in my bios, nowhere public. She kept mouthing it. Not smiling now, just blank-faced. Staring at me, repeating my name like it was a chant. I made up a quick excuse to go to the bathroom. When I walked past the waiter near the bar, he caught my arm gently and leaned in. Whispered, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I just needed the loo." He looked uncomfortable. Then he said quietly, "She's been mouthing your name since you sat down. The whole time. We thought maybe she knew you before, but she hasn't blinked once in 10 minutes, man." I felt sick. Went to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, stared at myself in the mirror like a cliche horror movie character. I didn't know what to do. Leave her there? Ask her what the hell was going on. Run. When I got back to the table, she was gone. Chair pushed in. Plate still half full. No sign of her. No goodbye. I asked the waiter where she went. He said he didn't see her leave. I walked outside. Looked both ways. Nothing. Checked my phone. The Tinder chat was gone, like fully deleted. Her profile, her messages, everything. That night, I went digging. Reverse image search her photos. Nothing. Tried looking up people with that face on Instagram. No luck. Tried messaging Tinder support to see if there was any record of the match. They said they couldn't track deleted profiles. 2 days later, I got a letter in my mailbox. No stamp, no return address, just my full name written neatly on the front in pencil. Inside, there was a photo. It was me, sitting in the restaurant that night, wearing the same shirt, mid-sentence, looking slightly to the left like I was talking. The angle was from the seat she had been sitting in. On the back of the photo, it said, "You're exactly what I thought you'd be." I moved 2 weeks later. I met him on a Thursday, just when I convinced myself I was over the whole dating app thing and was about to delete Tinder for good. His name was Jonas. That name always sounded calm to me, like a guy who listens more than he talks, and his profile felt low-key, which I weirdly liked. 2 pictures, one of him in a forest with a beanie, one where he's sitting on a couch with his legs crossed, holding a book I pretended to recognize. No bio, just a song linked. Sleep Dealered by Oniotrix Point Never. I messaged first, just said, "You look like the kind of guy who forgets to charge his phone." He replied instantly, "That's because I don't." His typing style was weird. No caps, no emojis, no fluff. Just short sentences that felt too intentional. But I don't know, he was interesting. He asked weird questions like, "Do you get deja vu at restaurants?" And "Do you trust people who call their pets babies?" It felt random, but it kept the convo going. Not flirtatious, just curious. He never once complimented me, and that somehow made him stand out. After 2 days of chatting, he asked how I wanted to meet. Said he preferred coffee shops with bad lighting. I laughed and suggested a spot near the canal that closes late and always has terrible lighting. He said, "Perfect." We met Saturday night. He was already there when I arrived, sitting at the corner table, phone face down, fingers tapping the side of the mug like he'd been waiting for a while. He looked like his photo, just taller and more tired. Hoodie layered under a brown coat, soft voice when he said my name. We ordered drinks and sat for a bit in silence, not the awkward kind, just quiet. He didn't seem uncomfortable, just calm, like he was waiting for me to steer. 15 minutes in, his phone lit up. I didn't mean to look, but it was right there on the table. Bright white screen in the dim cafe. The name said Eliza, and a message preview read, "Please, where are you?" I'm freaking out. He didn't react, didn't even glance at it, just kept sipping his tea and asking me about the music I listened to in high school. I tried to ignore it too. But then it lit up again. "Lily, are you ghosting me?" "Not again. Please, Jonas." Again, he didn't flinch. I watched him talk. His lips moved slow. His voice never rose above a whisper, and the whole time, his phone kept buzzing. "Kate, I just want to know you're safe. Please just text me." "Sophia, did I say something wrong? Just tell me if I did." I couldn't ignore it anymore. I asked if everything was okay. He smiled gently, tilted his head, and said, "It's nothing, sorry." Then he flipped the phone over again. But the screen still lit up from underneath. I sat there trying to figure out what the hell was going on. Was he dating all these girls at the same time? Was I just another number? Or was something else happening? I asked about his last relationship. He paused for a bit before saying, "I'm not really good at ending things. Some people don't take silence well." That line stuck in my head. I suddenly felt very aware of how far my seat was from the door, how quiet the cafe had gotten, how the barista was starting to sweep the floors. Jonas watched me, not creepily, just patiently, like he was studying how I'd react to being studied. His phone buzzed again. He ignored it again. I excused myself to the bathroom, not because I needed to go, but because I needed to think. I pulled out my phone and searched his full name. He'd only told me his first before, but I clocked his last name on the receipt from the drinks. I expected to find nothing. Maybe a LinkedIn. Instead, I found a Reddit post. From 2 weeks ago, posted by a girl named Eliza. The title was, "Have you dated someone named Jonaso? Please message me." The thread was full of girls commenting, saying they'd matched with him, had one perfect date, and nothing. No replies, no signs. But the weird part, Every one of them said the same thing. During our date, his phone kept buzzing with messages from girls I didn't know. One girl said she thought it was some cruel prank. Another said she followed him after the date and saw him walk into an empty building. Another said he never gave her his number, only messaged through Tinder and unmatched right after the date ended. All of them said he never made a move, never touched them, just talked, calmly, like he already knew them. One comment stood out. It felt like he was waiting for something, like we were part of a test he was running over and over. My hands started shaking. I left the bathroom, didn't even look back at the table. I just left. Walked fast, turned the corner, didn't stop until I hit the train station. I matched him on Tinder, blocked the account, deleted the app. 3 days later, I got a message on Facebook from a burner account, no photo. It just said, "You did better than most." I didn't reply. I don't think I ever will. There are certain things you start to notice only after it's too late. Tiny details, like how someone always sits in the same chair, or how they never let you walk them to their car. Stuff that doesn't seem weird until you look at it all together. Her name was Callie. We matched on Tinder in early spring, when it was still cold enough to wear a jacket but warm enough for people to pretend it wasn't. Her photos weren't flashy. She had this soft, quiet energy, always in natural light. Her eyes were light gray blue, like someone dragged the saturation bar too low. No crazy bio. Just let's meet in real life before I forget your face. I like that. No fake dude quotes. No trying too hard. We met at a cafe near the river. She picked it. Said it had the kind of windows you can stare through without thinking too hard. That was the first time she said she wanted the seat facing outside. I didn't question it. Thought she'd just like the view. I took the seat opposite, and we talked for about an hour. Her vibe was distant but focused. She asked questions in this deliberate way, like she was trying to memorize the answers. I found myself talking more than I usually would. The date was good enough to do a second. She suggested a diner. I said sure. Again, she picked the table. Again, she sat facing the window. At some point, I joked that she must be really into people watching. She didn't laugh, just said, "It's easier to talk when I can see who's listening." That sentence sat weird with me. I assumed she meant background noise like strangers walking by. I brushed it off. We ate. Talked about music. She asked me about old teachers I remembered, out the street I grew up on, about things I hadn't thought about in years. She had this way of pulling stuff out of you slowly. Not forceful, just gentle curiosity. Then came the third date, a bakery in a quiet part of town. Rainy afternoon. She was already there when I arrived, sitting by the window. Same exact posture, hands folded, staring out. I walked in, waved, sat down. Didn't think twice until midway through the conversation, when I noticed she kept glancing just slightly past me. Not fidgety, not distracted, just quick little eye flicks. Same direction, over and over. I turned to look out the window, trying not to make it obvious. Just outside the cafe, parked across the road under a streetlight, was a dark gray car. Engine on. Headlights low. No movement inside. Could have been someone waiting for a pickup. Could have been nothing. Except the next time we met, the car was there again. Different cafe. Different street. Same setup. Callie shows up first. Picks the seat facing the window. I sit across. She starts the conversation instantly, as if she's trying to distract me. This time, I kept my eye on her, then slowly turned like I was checking the weather. There it was. Same car. Same parking distance. Same dimmed headlights. Engine rang. I stared at it longer this time. Couldn't see the plate from that angle. Couldn't see who was inside. Just a faint silhouette of someone in the driver's seat. No movement, just sitting. I asked her casually if she drove here. She paused for half a second too long before nodding. Said she parked around the corner. I asked what she drove. She said an old silver hatchback. The car outside wasn't silver. It was dark gray. Sleek, looked newer. When I looked back at her, she was watching me too closely, like she wanted to see how long it would take me to notice. The fifth time we met, I didn't sit down right away. I walked in, waved at her, then told her I was going to grab something from the bakery display. She smiled, nodded. I walked past her toward the counter, but instead of ordering, I turned and stepped to the side window. There it was again. Same car, same spot, same faint glow of someone in the driver's seat. I pretended to take a phone call and walked outside. Crossed the street. Walked past the car, slow and casual, pretending to be on the phone. There was someone inside, a man. Couldn't see his face, just the profile, still looking straight ahead. Not at me. Not at the cafe. Just forward. Hands on a wheel, car running, like he was waiting for a light that would never turn green. I kept walking. Didn't stop until I reached the corner. I looped around the block, texting a friend to fake an emergency. I came back into the cafe 5 minutes later, said I had to go. She didn't argue. Just said, "That's okay. I'll see you soon." That night, I went back on Tinder. Callie's profile was gone. I still had her messages, though. I scrolled up through them, looking for anything that hinted at the car. At someone else, nothing. But then I noticed something else. Each of our meetups, she suggested, always at cafes or restaurants with large front-facing windows. Every single one. Always places where a parked car could sit right across the street and see everything inside. I tried to search her online. Nothing came up. No Facebook. No Instagram. No LinkedIn. I checked the cafe cameras the next day. Asked the staff if they kept footage. One guy said they did. Said he'd seen that gray car too. Yeah, he said, your friend always sits facing the window, and the same dude just waits across the road. I asked if he ever saw the guy get out. He said no, never moved. Last time I saw Callie was about 3 weeks ago. I was walking near the river when I saw a woman sitting outside a cafe, facing the window. Black coat, pale hands, same hair. I ducked behind the corner, watched. She wasn't alone this time. Different guy, sitting across from her, talking, smiling. She nodded along, barely speaking. Eyes flicking past him, always toward the window. And across the road. Same gray car. Headlights on. Engine running. Still waiting. It started out cute, disgustingly cute, the kind of cute that makes your friends roll their eyes when you read their texts aloud. His name was Milo. Even just the way he texted had a warmth to it without being overbearing. He always used a lowercase X at the end of his messages, like a secret signature. He'd send short voice notes that ended with a soft, embarrassed laugh, as if he wasn't sure he should be sending them at all. It worked on me. More than I'd like to admit. We matched on a Sunday night, the kind where everything feels washed out and pointless. I was eating cereal out of a mug, half asleep, half bored. His profile was plain. 2 normal photos, a dog named Louie, and a bio that said, "Can cook a mean risotto. Can't park straight to save my life." He messaged first. I was ready to dismiss him, but the first few exchanges surprised me. His humor was dry, sharp without being cruel. He didn't ask what I did for work in the opening line. He didn't push for compliments or selfies. He let the conversation breathe. When he did compliment me, it was different. You got the kind of smile that makes people admit things. I reread that one a dozen times. It didn't feel like the copy-paste flattery Tinder usually spits out. It felt personal, targeted in a good way. We met in person a week later. Coffee turned into lunch, lunch into wine at his flat. He looked a little tired, like he carried too many thoughts at once, but it gave him a kind of lived-in charm. He was soft-spoken, quick-witted, the type of person who noticed little details and filed them away. That was when the nickname started. Sleepyhead Girl, the first one. He said it once when I yawned mid conversation, and it stuck. Then came Tiny Fork. I'd eaten a salad with a miniature fork at his place, and he teased me about it. After that, he never let me live it down. Then Messy Socks. I'd shown up once with mismatched socks, and he treated it like some endearing secret about me. The names weren't just words. They were little threads weaving us into something private, something that felt like ours. He texted things like, "Thinking of my tiny fork girl while I'm stuck in this meeting," or "Bet my sleepyhead hasn't had lunch yet." They weren't declarations, but they had weight. They made me feel chosen. It was only after a month that I realized how little I actually knew about him. I knew Louie, his dog. I knew he hated olives. I knew the exact tea he drank before bed. But I didn't know his last name. I didn't know where he worked, other than the vague consulting he once tossed out. I didn't know why he always deflected when I asked to come over after that first time. He always had excuses. His flatmate was having issues. The place was being fumigated. Louis had fleas. I didn't press. When something feels good, you don't want to look too closely at the cracks. But one night, a friend asked me, "Have you ever Googled him?" I laughed. Said no. Why would I? It felt like tempting fate. Later, lying in bed, curiosity got the better of me. I typed, Milo first name plus Louis Dog London. I expected nothing. Maybe an Instagram, maybe a LinkedIn. Instead, I found a wedding registry. At first, I told myself it couldn't be him. Too common a name. Too much coincidence. But then I clicked, and there he was. Milo and Becca, getting married in 3 weeks. The registry was ordinary. Kitchen sets, rugs, a blender. A life being built piece by piece. But then I scrolled down to the comments section, where guests left little notes when they bought something. And that's when my stomach went cold. There were messages from him. His name, his words. One read, "My sleepyhead girl is going to love this bedding." Another, "Can't wait to cook risotto with you on these." And the last, "My messy socks girl deserves a soft rug to ruin." The same nicknames, the same private jokes, word for word. I stared at the screen. My brain tried to argue with itself. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe the words didn't mean the same thing to her. Maybe. But no, they were too specific, too exact. He hadn't just been building something with me. He'd been recycling. Copy-pasting intimacy. Running the same script. Hitting the same pet names, the same stories, the same world, but with someone else, with his fiancée. I didn't cry. I didn't feel angry. Just this numb, suffocating stillness. The next day, he texted me like nothing had changed. Said he missed me. Said Lou was being a diva. Said he wanted to see me soon. I didn't reply. Instead, I kept refreshing the registry, watching strangers buy the cutlery, the rugs, the glassware, watching his life assemble itself in real time, like a stage being dressed for a play I had no part in. Someone bought the blender. Someone booked the honeymoon suite. The comments kept coming, each one small and polite. "Congratulations, wishing you love, best wishes." But sometimes there was another note from him. Another nickname. Another recycled endearment. I never confronted him. Never asked for an explanation. What was there to say? After a few days, the text stopped. He blocked me on Tinder. His number went dead. It was like he'd never existed outside of that registry. But I still go back. Late at night when my flat is quiet, I type in the link and scroll. It isn't private. It isn't hidden. It's just there, waiting. A window into a life that was never mine, but brushed against mine for a moment. Every so often, there's a new entry. Another gift ticked off. Another small note of celebration. And sometimes, just sometimes, there's a comment from him, with a new nickname, a new phrase, something that used to belong to me, reshaped for someone else. A life copied and pasted. And the registry keeps filling piece by piece. I should have clocked it earlier. How put together she was. Not in a she dresses nice kind of way, but like every part of her felt, already decided. Like when someone's been practicing their smile in the mirror so long it doesn't even belong to them anymore. Her name was Zoe. Matched with her on a Monday night, just a casual swipe while I was half watching YouTube. She was gorgeous, I won't lie, like really photogenic, but not in a filtered way. Just clean. Minimal. Her bio only said, "I cook better when I'm not alone." I thought it was clever. Felt different from all the sarcastic bios full of red flags. She messaged first. That already caught me off guard. Just said, "What's your favorite meal?" I said something dumb, probably steak and fries. She said, "Come over Friday. I'll make it better." That fast. Part of me hesitated, obviously. Meeting at someone's place first date is usually a no. But she shared her Insta and it looked legit. Some food pics, some selfies, one of her cat on a windowsill. She didn't feel fake. Friday comes. She sends me her address. It's in one of those newer builds on the edge of town. Clean brick, tall windows, kind of sterile but expensive looking. I wore a half-decent shirt, brought a bottle of red, even though I don't know anything about wine. She opened the door smiling like we'd already done this before, like I was late to something I'd agreed to weeks ago. Hair tied back, loose sweater, no makeup. She looked better than her photos. She smelled like some citrus thing I couldn't place. Her place was spotless. Not just tidy, but curated. Every object looked chosen. Every pillow matched something. The rug had no footprints on it. The candles weren't burned. Her kitchen looked like a showroom, like she was always just about to start cooking, but never had. We sat in the living room while the steak sizzled. She poured wine, made a joke about guys always overcooking me. It was easy. Too easy. That's when I noticed the shelf. It was one of those floating shelves right above the TV. 3 rows, maybe 20 photos total, all framed the same. Thin black borders, white matting, clean lines. Each frame held a photo of a man. Different ages, different races, all smiling. Some were selfies, others were clearly taken by someone else. But all of them had that same feeling. You know when someone catches you mid-laugh and it becomes your favorite picture. They all had that energy. Pure, comfortable. None of them were me. I stood up like I was stretching, walked closer, pretending to look at the artwork above the TV. But my eyes went straight to the shelf. The guy on the top left looked mid-30s, beard, wearing a denim jacket. The one next to him had a dog in his lap, hoodie pulled over his head. Another looked like he was sitting in a diner. One was shirtless on a beach. All different backgrounds, but the style of the photos was the same. Like they'd all been taken by the same person. Like they'd all stood in this very room and smiled at the same lens. I asked her casually, friends of yours? She didn't even look. Just said, people I've cooked for. That answer didn't sit right. Dinner was great, I'm not gonna lie. She knew what she was doing. Medium rare, homemade sauce. Wine kept flowing. She laughed at my bad jokes, touched my arm a few times. It should have been perfect. But that shelf. That row of faces. It stayed in my head the whole time. After we ate, she offered dessert. Said it was in the freezer. I said sure. She left the room. I took the chance to snap a photo of the shelf. Just one quick shot. Pocketed my phone. She came back with 2 tiny bowls of something cold and chocolatey. We ate. I thanked her, told her it was the best date meal I'd had in years. She said, I like when people remember it. I didn't stay the night. Said I had to work early. She walked me to the door, gave me a hug that lingered just a second too long. That night, lying in bed, I had zoomed in on the photo I had taken of the shelf. I reverse imaged, searched one of the faces. Guy in the gray hoodie with the dog. Found his Instagram. His profile picture matched the frame exactly. Caption from 2 years ago, date night vibes with someone who actually knows how to cook. His last post was from 2021. Nothing since. I checked the beach guy next. Found his Facebook. One post in 2020 tagging a new job, then silence. I went through 4 more. All of them had posted something vague or food related. All of them had stopped posting completely afterward. One had a comment under his last post. From his sister, it said, if anyone hears from Brandon, please let us know. He hasn't been home in weeks. I stared at that comment until my phone went dark. The next day, I went back to her Insta. She deleted every food post. Her bio now said, minimalist, homebody, vegan. No mention of steak, no mention of cooking at all. I tried texting her. Just a simple, hey, thanks again for Friday. Had a great time. Delivered. No reply. Hour later, blocked. My message disappeared. The photo I took of the shelf. It won't open anymore. Just says error loading. I tried emailing it to myself. File corrupted. I don't know who the guys in those photos were. I don't know if they ever got a second date. But I keep seeing that shelf. 3 rows, 20 frames, and a tiny sliver of empty space in the bottom right corner. Just big enough for one more. It started normal, boring normal. The kind of interaction you half commit to, expecting it to fizzle out before anything happens. His name was Ian. His Tinder profile was as unremarkable as they come. 2 photos, both in random backyards, the kind of pictures that look like a cousin snapped them during a barbecue. He had a buzz cut and one of those closed-mouth half smiles. Not ugly, not summing, just fine. The bio didn't help much either. Chill guy. Not here to waste your time. The only reason I even swiped right was because I was tired of trying to optimize my choices. Every time I matched with someone who looked my type or wrote a clever bio, they turned out to be a walking pile of red flags. So when Nan messaged me something simple, "You seem cool," I was relieved. No pickup lines. No emojis. Just simple. I said thanks. We ended up talking about the weather of all things. Pointless small talk stretched longer than it deserved, and weirdly I liked it. There was no pressure in it. He wasn't performing. He wasn't trying too hard. He was just there. After a few days, he asked if I wanted to come over and watch something. Normally, I don't go to a guy's place until after we've met in public, but he said his apartment was close to a coffee shop I liked. He even offered to walk me there first so I'd feel comfortable. It struck me as strangely polite, almost awkward, like he didn't do this often. I told myself I'd only stay for an hour, maybe leave early if it got weird. I dropped my location to a friend, screenshotted his profile, and made a joke about meeting the love of my life or getting murdered. She told me to call if I needed an excuse to dip. The address he sent led me to a block of flats just outside town, near a strip of shops and a gas station. Not dangerous, not seedy, just bland. Forgettable. I buzzed the intercom. He let me up without saying a word. 3rd floor. The door was halfway open when I got there. I knocked anyway. From inside, I heard him say, "Come in." I pushed the door open and immediately froze. The apartment was empty. Completely empty. No couch. No chairs. No shelves. No pictures on the walls. Just bare white paint, scuffed laminate flooring, and in the center of the living room, a single mattress. No frame, no pillows, no blankets. Just a fitted sheet stretched tight across it. It didn't feel like a home. It didn't even feel like a place someone lived. It felt like a space staged for something else. Something I didn't want to name. There was a smell too. Sharp and chemical, like bleach layered over something sour. A candle had been lit recently, its wax still warm, but it only made the mix worse. I lingered in the doorway, unsure if I had the wrong flat. Then Ian appeared. He walked out from the kitchen holding a bottle of water. No glass, no snacks, just the bottle. He looked the same as his photos, but different too. The buzz cut, the half smile. They were there. But his eyes were wrong. Wide and unblinking, too awake, like he hadn't slept properly in days. He held the bottle out to me. I told him I wasn't thirsty. He nodded, unfazed. Said he just moved in. Said his stuff was arriving tomorrow. Said the mattress was temporary. I nodded back, but I didn't believe him. The apartment didn't smell like moving boxes. It smelled like something that had been scrubbed out. He gestured for me to sit. I said I'd stand for a bit. That's when I noticed a shoebox. It was tucked against the wall near the baseboard. Cardboard worn around the edges, no lid. From where I stood, I could see it was filled with something thin, plasticky. I didn't mean to stare, but my eyes kept drifting back to it. Ian followed my gaze. His half-smile twitched just slightly. He didn't say anything. Didn't try to distract me. Just watched as I took a step closer. I pretended to glance casually, but when I finally looked down, my body locked. The box was filled with women's driver's licenses. Dozens of them. Pilot Nestle. Different states. Different names. Different faces. Some of the faces looked like me. My chest went cold. My stomach lurched. I couldn't make sense of it. Couldn't even begin to think a reasonable explanation. Ian stepped closer, slowly, like he'd been waiting for this moment. His voice was low. "You okay?" I forced my mouth into a smile. Lied. Said I got dizzy for a second. Said maybe I wasn't feeling well. Maybe I should go. He didn't protest. He didn't beg me to stay. He just said, "That's fine," like he expected it all along. I backed toward the door, keeping my eyes on him. He stayed where he was, hands in the pocket of his hoodie, shoulders relaxed, watching. I slipped out into the hallway, heart pounding, and didn't stop moving until I was 3 streets away. I called my friend, told her to fake an emergency call for me in case he followed, but he never did. That night, I reported his profile to Tinder, reported the address to the non-emergency police line. I described the shoebox, the licenses, the emptiness of the flat. The woman on the phone told me they'd look into it. Her voice was calm, rehearsed, like she'd said the same thing 100 times. The next day, his profile disappeared, and that's when I thought it was over. But 2 days later, a package arrived at my flat. Brown envelope, no return address, my name written in block letters on the front. Inside was a driver's license. Mine. But not the one in my wallet. This was my old license. The one I lost when I was 17. The one I reported missing, replaced, and never thought about again. It was worn at the edges, the laminate slightly peeling. And on the back, scrawled in crooked black ink, were 5 words. You should have stayed for the movie. It started on the second date. Not the first, which was weirdly normal. Just a walk through the park, shared a slice of greasy pizza and nothing wild. Her name was Mora. Short, sharp, kinda elegant. Her profile had one of those washed out filters, like she dipped her whole life in beige. Her pics were clean though. No mirror selfies. No random dudes cropped out. Just her soft smiling in cafes, books in her lap, headphones always in. The first time we talked, she asked what kind of music I listened to when I couldn't sleep. Not even at Hey First. Just straight to that. I thought it was kind of bold. I told her I made playlists for that exact reason. She said she did too. We met up 3 days later. She wore this weird brown coat that looked too big for her. Said it was her dad's. She kept tugging at the sleeves like they were swallowing her hands. She didn't talk much, but she was good at listening. You know the kind of silence that doesn't feel empty. She had that down. So yeah, first date, normal. It was the second one that set something off. We were walking back to her place after grabbing tea at this quiet little spot near the train station. I made a dumb joke about the cup size being too small, and she laughed, then said, "You always say that, Aaron. My name's not Aaron." I stopped for a second, thought maybe I misheard. She didn't react, just kept walking. Later that night, in her flat, she said it again. Told me, "You're being so Aaron right now." She was smiling when she said it, but not like it was funny. More like she was remembering something. That time I called her out on it. I said, "Who's Aaron?" She looked up from her tea, blinked once, and smiled. Said, "Don't worry, I'll get it right this time." This time. That phrasing. I should have left right then, but she said it so casually, like it was a joke. Like I was being dramatic, and honestly, she was really good at brushing things off, like water off glass. I told myself maybe Aaron was an ex. Maybe she just had a type that looked like him. It happens. Third date, she called me Ben. We were in her kitchen, eating on the floor because she didn't own a table yet. She was talking about some concert she wanted to go to and said, "I think you love it, Ben." I just stared at her. She stared back. No apology this time. No laugh. Just a small smile. "You're not Ben either, are you?" she said. Soft. "It's okay. I'm getting closer." Closer. Like it was some answer she was working toward. That night, when she fell asleep on my shoulder, I checked her bookshelf. Just to ground myself. Something felt unsteady, and I needed it to make sense. Half the books had names written inside the covers. Property of Ben. This one's Aaron's. For Charlie. Love M. That last one had a heart drawn next to it. Like a kid had scribbled it, all uneven and messy. None of those names were mine. I stayed the night anyway. I don't know why. Maybe because leaving would have felt like I was confirming something that I didn't want to be real yet. On the 4th date, she got my name right. She said it in this soft, deliberate way, like she was testing how it felt. She made me say it too, over and over. "Say it again," she whispered. "Say your name again." I said it. It didn't sound like mine anymore. That night, while she was brushing her teeth, I looked through her closet. There were coats. All oversized. All men's. Shoes too big for her. A drawer with 7 toothbrushes, still in their packs. All different brands. I opened her fridge. Empty except for almond milk and a half-eaten slice of cake labeled "For Connor" in smudged Sharpie. There was no Connor. No Aaron. No Ben. No Charlie. Just me. For now. I started digging online. Typed in her name. Her photo. Reverse searched her profile pic. Found nothing. No socials. No tags. No evidence of her outside Tinder in my phone. So I dug deeper, and I found a forum post. The throwaway account. Posted 6 months ago. Title said, "Has anyone dated a girl named Mara?" The thread was short, only 5 comments, each one with a different name. Then, Charlie, Aaron, Connor, and a 5th guy who never said his name, just typed. She told me I was the one she'd keep this time. The post had no updates, just those 5 replies. I didn't sleep that night. The next time I saw her, she made me tea again. Same mug, same flavor. She curled up next to me on the floor and rested her head on my knee. Then she whispered, "You feel right. I think I got it this time." I didn't say anything. Not then, not after. I just waited until she fell asleep, grabbed my jacket, and left. I deleted her number, blocked her profile. Threw out the hoodie I left at her place when she wasn't looking. But last night I found a note slipped under my door. No envelope. Just a torn bit of paper folded once. Inside it said, "Thank you for being patient with me this time. I'll be better next round. Love, Lem." It wasn't love at first swipe or anything. Just one of those matches that happens when you're bored, lying in bed, pretending to care. His name was Theo. His profile was simple. 2 decent photos, one of him in a hoodie looking over a bridge, another of him with a coffee cup and a blur of lights behind him. Bio said something like soft-spoken, not boring. We started chatting late at night, kind of by accident. I had notifications off, so by the time I saw his message, it'd already been 2 hours. He'd said, "Something about your smile looks familiar." I replied, hopefully not in a bad way. Its replies came slow but thoughtful. No cringe one-liners. He asked real questions. Books I loved growing up, whether I preferred rainy days or snowy ones. What saw made me cry for no reason. It felt more like being interviewed by someone curious than flirted with. He never pushed for more than I gave. I liked that. It felt safe. After a week of chatting, he suggested we meet, just for a walk. Nothing dramatic. He picked this spot by the river, not far from the city center. I agreed, mostly because it felt casual and public enough to bail if I needed to. He was already there when I showed up. Sitting on a bench with his hands in his coat pockets, eyes fixed on the water like he was solving a puzzle. When I approached, he smiled like he already knew me. I don't mean that romantically. It just felt like he'd been expecting me in some very specific way. Like I finally caught up. We walked. Talked. He was funny in a dry kind of way. Told weird stories about weird neighbors. Gave off this quiet energy like he didn't need to talk a lot to feel present. He wasn't touchy or intense. He made it easy. Then, in the middle of some story about a dog that got loose in his building, he said, "It reminds me of your beagle. You know, Max. The one who used to sleep in your closet when it rained." I stopped walking for a second. Because yeah, I did have a beagle named Max when I was a kid. He did sleep in the closet during storms. But I never told Theo that. Not in chat. Not in person. Not anywhere as far as I remembered. I must have looked confused because he just smiled and said, "Sorry, you mentioned it the other day." I wanted to argue, but I didn't want to come off like I was overthinking. So I let it slide. Told myself maybe I did say it and forgot. A little while later, we stopped to sit on this grassy patch by the canal. It was getting colder, and I was rubbing my hands together, and he pulled out a tiny bottle of hand cream from his pocket. Said, "You always hated the scent they use in your dorm building, right? That weird lemon vanilla stuff." Now that one hit harder. Because back in college, my dorm hall always smelled like some off-brand lemon cake. I complained about it constantly, but only to people I lived with. And that was 4 years ago. I never posted about it. Never joked about it online. Never said a thing about it in any of our texts. And he knew. Not just that I didn't like it, but exactly what it smelled like. I asked him how he knew. He shrugged and said, maybe I just remember better than most people. That's when I started feeling off. I didn't say anything right away, but I kept thinking, okay, no big deal. Maybe we went to the same uni. Maybe he recognized me from somewhere. Still, I started looking at him differently. Watching how often he glanced at me. How he always seemed to know what I was about to say before I said it. He changed the subject. We ended the walk early. He offered to walk me to the bus stop, but I said I was meeting a friend nearby. I wasn't. I just needed time to think. Later that night, I scrolled back through every message we'd sent. Looked for any moment where I might have mentioned Max or my dorm or anything that could explain what he said. Nothing. Not one reference. Not even a hint. I couldn't sleep. I kept playing everything back in my head. And then 3 days later, we met again. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Told myself I was being paranoid. Told myself the internet messes with your head when you read too many stories. We met for coffee. The conversation was fine. He was sweet again, normal, no weirdness. Until, as we were leaving, he looked at me and said, "Your dad used to call you Button, right? Because of that coat you had. The one with the missing button on the left sleeve." I stopped walking. He didn't. Just kept moving forward slowly, like nothing was strange. My dad did call me Button. Not all the time. Just when I was little. And yeah, I had a coat like that when I was 6. A navy one with a brass button that fell off and I never fixed. But my dad died when I was 12. There's no way Theo could have known that. I never posted about it. Never tweeted it. Never put it in a caption or a bio or a message. It was not any public account. Even my close friends barely remember it. I asked him how he knew. He just smiled, calm. No twitch, no nervousness. Just a soft smile and the words, "Don't worry, I only remember the good parts." I didn't say goodbye. I just walked away. Blocked him everywhere. Deleted Tinder. Deleted his contact. Changed every privacy setting on everything I owned. But it didn't end there. A week later, I found an envelope under my doormat. No stamp. Just my name written in neat handwriting. Inside was a photo. Me, age 7, sitting on my front step in that navy coat. And behind me, in the reflection of the door's glass panel, a man, standing across the street, watching, smiling. And even though the photo was old, faded and slightly torn, I swear to God, it looked just like him. Some stories don't really make sense when you try to say them out loud. You start explaining and it sounds like you're exaggerating or making it up, or maybe you dreamed the whole thing and convinced yourself it happened. But this actually happened. And I still don't know if I should be freaked out or impressed. Probably both. Her name was Mira. I matched with her on a Tuesday. I remember because I was on the bus with a sandwich I regretted buying. Too much mayo, soggy bread, the kind of lunch that ruins your mood. I opened Tinder just to distract myself. Swipe, swipe, swipe. Everyone started to look the same. Then Mira's profile appeared. It wasn't flashy. No professional photos, no filters, no pouting into a mirror. She didn't pose like everyone else. Her first picture was her sitting in a laundromat, staring at a dryer like it owed her money. The second one was taken in a cemetery. Not edgy, not goth cosplay. Just quiet. Her half-smile made it look like the cemetery was the calmest place she knew. Her bio only said, "Forces beyond us. Don't ask." I matched instantly. She messaged first. We didn't talk long. The conversation was a blur of strange, almost riddle-like questions. She asked what I'd do if the moon disappeared. I asked what she'd do if mirrors stopped reflecting her. She said she'd miss the mirrors, but not herself. I laughed harder than I should have on a crowded bus. It wasn't flirty in the usual way. It wasn't gross or forward. But there was something magnetic about her, sharp and playful, like she knew exactly how far to push without tipping over into nonsense. 2 nights later, she invited me over. Her flat was in a part of town I'd never been. Half industrial, half residential, the kind of place where old warehouses had been converted into lofts, and nobody had decided whether it was trendy or decaying. The street lamps buzzed overhead. The building's concrete stairs were cracked, painted with layers of graffiti and half-washed tags. I climbed 3 flights and knocked on her door. She answered wearing an oversized hoodie that hung almost to her knees, bare feet on the cold floor. No music, no background chatter, just the low hum of something electric. Maybe the fridge, maybe not. Her place was strange. Not messy, but not normal either. It didn't feel lived in so much as inhabited. Towers of books sat on the floor instead of shelves. Plants dangled in glass jars from the ceiling, their roots twisting in cloudy water. A broken CRT television crouched in the corner like an artifact from another decade. And then I saw the altar. It was tucked against the far wall of the living room, a table draped in black cloth. No candles, no crosses, no icons I recognized. Just an arrangement of small objects, each placed with deliberate care. Feathers, dried flowers, a crow's foot curled and rigid. In the center stood a jar filled with something thick and dark red. Not blood, exactly, darker, heavier. I didn't ask. She offered me tea, bitter and earthy like roots boiled too long. She sat across from me on the floor, watching as I drank, her eyes fixed like she was waiting for something to happen. We didn't talk much after that. One thing simply led to another. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't tender. It felt like an exchange, like we were trading pieces of ourselves without words. No music. No background noise except the creak of the floorboards and our breathing. Afterward, as I sat lacing my shoes, she spoke. Would you like to donate something for my altar? I laughed. Couldn't help it. It sounded absurd, like a sarcastic post-hookup ritual. I muttered something dumb about getting a receipt. She didn't laugh. Instead, she crossed the room, reached behind the altar, and lifted a small glass jar. She held it out to me. Inside were teeth. Real human teeth. Not one or two. Dozens. Different sizes, shapes, colors. Molars, canines, incisors. Some yellowed with age, some cracked, one with a gold cap. They weren't neat. They weren't polished. They looked used. She said calmly, only if it means something. That's the rule. I stared. My brain lagged behind my eyes. She waited. The jar was heavy in her hands. I finally asked where she got them. People give them to me, she said. You're not the first. The air in the room shifted, like those words had weight of their own. I asked why she wanted mine. She tilted her head, shrugged lightly, because I like the way you taste. She smiled then, not a flirty smile and not playful. It was the smile of someone satisfied, someone who just solved a puzzle and liked the answer. I told her I didn't have any loose teeth. She said that was fine, she could wait. I left soon after, made an excuse about an early shift. She didn't stop me. She just nodded and watched as I left, her eyes following me to the door. Like a cat, patient already fed. When I got home, I told myself it wasn't real. It couldn't be. Maybe she was eccentric. Maybe it was performance art. Maybe she was just building some weird alt-girl personality of it. But I couldn't stop replaying the image of that jar in my mind. The way the teeth clinked softly as she shifted her grip. The way she said, "You're not the first." The next day, I searched for her online. Nothing. No Facebook. No Instagram. No records. I tried her number. Nothing came up. When I checked Tinder, her profile had vanished. Gone. Like it had never been there at all. It's been 6 months now. I still check my teeth every morning. Run my tongue along them, pressing, counting. I still dream about that apartment, the stacks of books, the hanging plants, the jar in the middle of the altar. And sometimes when I bite into something too hard and feel that brief, sharp ache in the root of a tooth, I think about her. And I wonder for just a moment if she felt it too. I honestly wasn't even that into him when we matched. His pictures were all just slightly off, like not bad, but everyone felt like it was taken by someone who didn't know him. One was hidden in a bookstore, but all the books were splayed out so you couldn't see a single title. One was in a park, but it looked like he was pasted in. You know that weird sense when a photo has no warmth? That. But I'd just gotten out of something in my brain was in that mode where anything seemed better than sitting alone scrolling for the 3rd hour. So I said yes. His name was Luke, or at least that's what he went by. We met at this Turkish cafe. Not the usual Starbucks or dim bar kind of spot. This one had velvet seats, low lighting, tiny lamps that hung like fruit from the ceiling. Everything smelled like burnt sugar and cardamom. He was already there when I showed up. Already had a table, already halfway through a tea. Which was weird because I was on time, but I didn't say anything. He stood to greet me, smiled, and offered to grab me something. He didn't ask what I wanted, though. He just came back with the same drink he was having. Said I'd probably like it. I didn't. I still drank it. The conversation was fine, not good, not terrible. It was one of those dates where you feel like you're in a scene instead of real life. He kept staring, not in a creepy way exactly, but like he was trying to memorize something. Every time I moved my hands or played with my sleeves, he tracked it. Then midway through, he pulled out his phone and asked if he could take a picture of me. Not a selfie, just me, sitting across from him. I asked why. He said he liked to collect moments. Said it wasn't for anything weird, just to remember people. That line sat weird in my stomach, but again, I didn't push it. I was tired. The date wasn't going anywhere serious anyway, so I let him take the photo. He snapped it quick, barely framed it, and smiled. He didn't show me. After that, the rest of the night blurred. We said bye, no hug, no plans for a second one. He messaged the next day, and I never replied. Not because of anything dramatic, just wasn't into it. I forgot about him completely by the end of the week. Then 3 weeks later, I saw myself on Reddit. Not literally me, but the photo. Same angle, same background, same weird cafe lamp glowing above. Same sweater I wore, same posture. But not my face. I was scrolling through /unresolved mysteries while procrastinating on a paper. I clicked a thread titled Recognize This Girl. Found this in a public Google Drive linked to other missing persons reports. And there it was. That exact photo. Only instead of my face, it was someone else. A different girl. Similar hair. But everything else was different. Her nose, her jawline, even the earrings. I don't even have piercings. It stopped me cold. At first I thought maybe someone edited the image, but that made no sense. Why would anyone take a random picture of me and swap my face? Unless it wasn't my face in the original either. That idea sat in my stomach like cold soup. I dug through my camera roll to check if I had anything from that day to compare. I didn't. I never take selfies on dates. I barely had any photos of myself in that sweater at all. So I went back to the Reddit post, started reading the comments. Some people were trying to reverse search the image. Others were speculating that the girl had been reported missing months ago in a different city. A few mentioned other photos, similar framing, different women, same pattern. Always cafes. Always seated. Always a shot from across the table. One comment said, whoever's taking these is either incredibly organized or completely out of his mind. Another comment mentioned a drive that had over 40 images. 40 different women. Same setup. Same vibe. Same awkwardly lifeless framing. Some of them were confirmed missing. Other 10 hadn't been identified at all. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning I tried messaging Luke on Tinder, but his profile was gone. Not unmatched. Gone. I checked my texts. He never gave me his number. I never saved his. It was just those few Tinder chats and then nothing. Like he only existed in that window of time and then disappeared on purpose. I even went back to the cafe, hoping someone might remember him. I showed the staff member a blurry screenshot of his face from Tinder, the one pic I had saved. They stared at it for a while and said, yeah, he came a few times. Always alone. Always ordered the same tea. Never spoke much. Never came back after that night with me. That's when it started to click. The whole setup, the tea already waiting, the way he stared, the fast photo, it wasn't casual. It was routine. Like he'd done this dozens of times. Knew exactly what to say, where to sit, how to light the shot. He didn't want a date. He wanted the image. And not of me. Not really. He wanted the setting, the body, the framing, the canvas. The face was swappable. Just another layer. I still don't know if the face he put on that photo was someone who was alive, or if it was meant to look like a missing girl on purpose. I don't know if he's trying to recreate them, or erase them, or collect something that only makes sense to him. All I know is my face wasn't in the photo, but everything else was. And somewhere out there, someone's probably looking at my body and wondering what happened to her. There's this weird thing that happens sometimes after a date. You go home, brush your teeth, Maybe rewatch some dumb show you've already seen 5 times, and out of nowhere, you open Tinder again. Not even for anything, really, just muscle memory, like scratching an itch you didn't know you had. That's exactly what I did after I got back from dinner with this girl named Talia. We met at some spot near the canal, low lights, fake candles, music that tried way too hard to be cool. She looked like her photos, but different. Sharper in real life. Not in a bad way, just more intense. The kind of person who makes you feel like you're being watched even when they're looking away. Anyway, the date was okay. Nothing too wild. Small talk, drinks, some awkward laughs. She didn't say much about herself. Whenever I'd ask her where she worked or what her deal was, she kind of just tilt her head and ask something back instead. But I didn't think much of it. I just figured she was one of those people who likes being mysterious for no reason. What stood out more was how she never touched her food. Like at all. She ordered something, let it sit there, and just watched me eat like I was doing a cooking demo. I joked about it, and she smiled but didn't explain. At some point, I stopped caring. Dinner wrapped up. We paid separately and walked out. She hugged me. A tight one. No kiss or anything. Just that long, pressy kind of hug that people give when they want to leave a mark. She didn't say we should meet again, and neither did I. Felt like one of those things you just let fade out quietly. So I got home, flopped on the bed, scrolled TikTok for a bit, then flipped open Tinder. I don't know why. Probably habit. I wasn't even planning to match with anyone new. I just wanted to see her profile again. Not in a creepy way. Just to look. When it loaded, I froze. Her name was still there. Same bio. Same age. Same location. But the main photo had changed. It was me. Not a selfie. Not something I posted online. It was a photo taken from across the dinner table. Me sitting exactly where I'd been just a few hours earlier, mid-laugh, elbow on the table, drink in my hand. The candlelight hit my face in that weird orange way, same as I remembered. It wasn't blurry or grainy. It was clear. Framed like a pro. I stared at it for way too long, waiting for it to make sense. My brain kept trying to tell me it wasn't really me. Maybe just someone who looked like me. Maybe a joke. A glitch. Something. But no. It was me, down to the tiny ketchup stain on my hoodie sleeve I hadn't noticed until halfway through the meal. She'd taken it. At some point during dinner, she pulled out her phone and snapped a photo without me noticing. No flash, no sound. Just boom. Captured, like I was a butterfly she pinned to a board. I scrolled through her other pictures, hoping it was part of some weird carousel joke or whatever, but nope. That was the only photo now. Everything else was gone. Just my face. My body. Sitting at that table like some kind of trophy. I checked the bio again. It was different too. It used to say something simple like, love coffee and dogs. Now it said, already found what I was looking for. That's it, just that. I backed out of the app so fast I nearly dropped my phone. My hands felt gross. I don't know why. Not sweaty. Just wrong. Like I touched something that shouldn't be touched. I wanted to delete the app right then and there, but something made me go back in. I searched her profile again. It was gone. Not unmatched. Not blocked. Just vanished. And now, here's the part that's been messing with my head ever since. I asked a friend to search for her too. She matched with me earlier that week, so I figured if she was still active, someone else would see her. My friend couldn't find her. Like she never existed on the app in the first place. I tried reverse image searching the photo. Nothing. No links, no hits. Just an endless void of white boxes and question marks. I checked my phone gallery too, in case she airdropped it or something stupid like that. Empty. Later that night, I started thinking about the hug. How tight it was, where her hands were. And I realized she held my phone for a second. Just long enough to touch it. I left it on the table while I went to the bathroom, and when I got back, it was flipped over, not how I'd left it. I didn't notice then, but now it stood out like a red light. I don't know if she cloned it. I don't even know how that would work. All I know is she had a photo of me. One I didn't take, and she uploaded it while I was still walking home. I called my phone provider the next day, asked them if anything weird had happened on my account. They said no, nothing out of the ordinary. I asked if my phone had been remotely accessed. They said they'd have to escalate the request. Never heard back. I haven't used Tinder since. Not because I'm scared of dating or whatever, but because I keep thinking, what if I hadn't looked? What if I never opened the app that night and saw it? Would the photo still be there? Would it still be there? Because the thing is, that picture wasn't just a snapshot. It looked posed, like it had been framed. Not legally, just literally, like something you'd see hanging in someone's room, or printed on a poster, or worse, uploaded somewhere nobody should be able to find. It's been weeks. Sometimes I check random usernames on new apps just to be sure. I haven't found the picture again. But every now and then I catch someone looking at me a little too long on the train. I wonder if they've already seen me somewhere.